we actually had some internal quality testing that we weren't happy with on our original vape pens. So we held them up for a few months, and we've since released them last month. But in doing that and trying to drive higher quality, we actually developed a product called liquid sugar. And it's really taking sugar, cured sugar concentrate, and melting it into oil. And we find that to really be incredible.
Welcome to Healing Hearts, a podcast created by the Healing Center. Here, we explore passionate healing stories, educate on the power of cannabis, and so much more.
We are once again live from the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University for our Healing Hearts podcast. My name is Chris Cohan. I'm the co-founder of the Healing Center. We are excited today to continue our Grower Processor series. I am joined by John Kahn. He is the head of Agri-Kind. John, thank you for joining us today. We're excited to have you on the program.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the invitation.
No problem. Why don't we start by telling us a little bit about how Agri-Kind got started, John?
Yeah, well, we basically started the company back in late 2016 in hopes of achieving a round one permit. We scored real well in the state, but having not been an operator before in other states, we didn't score well enough. So we kept at it. We actually opened up a hemp operation, a hemp cultivation and processing operation. We had some topical formulations that got us into the market, and brought those to market under hemp derivation as opposed to marijuana, since obviously we couldn't do much with marijuana without a permit. But we were successful getting those to market. Excuse me. And then when round two opened up, we immediately jumped on those applications, and happy to say we scored well enough to achieve one of the two permits in the Southeast region.
Well, that's fantastic. So, John, that gives you a unique perspective since you've been on both the hemp side and now you're on the cannabis side. One of the things that we talk about doing a lot is a program for patients, because we find at the dispensary level, a lot of patients often don't know the difference between CBD sourced from hemp and that which comes from whole plant. So it's nice to talk to somebody who comes from both perspectives.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And to your point, we've actually, we brought 9 of our hemp genetics into the marijuana facility to grow as marijuana.
Okay.
And as many know, the hemp limits, require THC levels to be below 0.3%. But many strains, especially the ones from out west, come in at 0.7, 0.8, 0.9. Sure. It really constitutes marijuana under federal law and even state law. So, what's nice about those strains is they'll yield 17, 18, 19% CBD, which is really a great source for flower products, but also concentrates and extracts.
Excellent. Yeah, I've been hearing an awful lot about that. That level's been being pushed an awful lot by the federal government, I guess, making sure that we stay underneath that for the CBD.
Yeah, exactly true.
So tell me about yourself. How did you decide to get started in this industry?
Well, candidly, I had been an adult use user for probably 35 years. And, like many recreational users, I was really self-medicating. I was using it for anxiety, for pain, and after a while for diabetes, actually. I was personally was a IT enterprise architect, enterprise project manager for about 24 years. Worked in banking, risk management for about 11, but then in life sciences for about 13 and a half. And built a number of drug development and management systems, led Cigna Insurance's e-prescribing system implementation, and then worked on an FDA, or bid out and won an FDA laboratory systems replacement project across all 16 labs. And, really got to see drug development from the traditional side of things. Didn't really put together the use of medical cannabis until early 2000s, when I was diagnosed with diabetes, and I had been on metformin for a couple of years. It had worked to control sugar levels for me, and suddenly sort of stopped. And remembered my olden days in consulting when I had tried it. Thousands of strains when I had been over in Amsterdam, and reverted back to a few strains that happened to be high in THCV, namely Durban Poison and a phenotype of Blue Dream that was unusually high in THCV. And I had actually lost 60 pounds in 4 months using cannabis,
Wow.
which is pretty unusual for many people get hungry, depending on what strain you use. But my A1C went from an 8.9 to a 5.3 in 4 months.
That's amazing. We get an awful lot of requests for that particular cannabinoid. There's no doubt. It's people have caught wind that I can actually lose weight with cannabis. Most people think that's only the other way around. So it is great to hear from you speaking your own story there, because it gives everybody a little perspective on this unknown that we're all every day studying and finding more and more out about. Tell me, what's going on at Agri-Kind? You guys got any plans for new products, expansions, anything like that?
Absolutely. Well, we took the Department of Health guidance very seriously with respect to going out the first 30 days and really getting as many genetics as you could possibly get.
Okay.
So we as a company have 307 strains in our strain bank.
Wow.
And we're growing about 60 of them on a regular basis, 40 of them commercially. And then we sporadically, every other cycle, will introduce 2 or 3 new strains. But we're continuing to do phenotyping projects on those new strains that we haven't used yet and releasing new ones every month. As a matter of fact, last month, we have been searching for strains that are high in THCV and uncovered 2 that we actually had that we didn't know we had just because we hadn't grown them. So those will become part of our normal product line. From a strain perspective, from a product matrix stance, we have been releasing new products pretty much every month for the past 6 months. So we initially obviously started with flour, then wax and butter and crumble. Then we moved to diamonds and sauce, and then some live extracts. We actually had some internal quality testing that we weren't happy with on our original vape pens. So we held them up for a few months, and we've since released them last month. But in doing that and trying to drive higher quality, we actually developed a product called liquid sugar. And it's really taking sugar, cured sugar concentrate, and melting it into oil. And
wow.
We find that to really be incredible. Both we have a quality group internally as well as an external quality group we released to first. And the feedback's been extremely positive. The product looks like distillate. It's very clear. It's not distilled. It's just pure BHO-based extract.
Okay.
That's got a lot of post-processing. So that's been a real big hit over the last 30 days. RSO was released about 2 months ago. And over the next few months, actually tinctures will be out this month. And next month, or maybe the month after, we'll be adding topicals, which were, as I mentioned earlier, the thing that actually got us into the industry from a formulation perspective. And they're all natural. It's not lotion with cannabinoids added. It's fully derived, from base ingredients and terpenes.
Sure. Well, you mentioned a couple of things there that are very exciting to talk about. The liquid sugar is very unique, and I'm sure will be a very huge hit. Now, the other thing is I saw Lisa, our director of marketing, across from me go, THCB? Is that what you were shaking your head at? Tell us.
He said 2 strains, but he didn't mention the 2, so wanted to know what they were.
Oh, okay. So there's a couple things there. We talk a little bit about THCB and as well as 2 strains that Lisa was curious about.
Yeah, one of them, believe it or not, is chocolate Thai,
Okay.
Which we didn't expect to find it in, but we did. And the second one, I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. It was a little lower. The chocolate Thai was 3.5%, which is actually very high for THCV. You don't need the type of concentrations that you need with THC.
Right.
So the highest clocking strains I've ever seen in the country are about 6. So it's pretty phenomenal. And when you make extract products with it, obviously you can concentrate it even further.
Sure.
We also have Lemon Dog Cookies, which has been a kind of a day one strain for us that's got about a little less than 1%. But again, when you concentrate it, you've really got a pretty good compound there for medicated purposes. There's also some terpenes that when you mix with THCV, they are also appetite suppressants, whereas THCV would actually helps glucose metabolism. So when you mix the two, you really end up with a potent appetite suppressant.
Well, I can see very clearly why you get along so well with Dr. Butler at our place. Because, I don't know if I ever told you the story. When he came in and interviewed, he was building molecules on papers for me on the reasons as to why I should hire him. So you guys are a couple of molecule and chem nerds there. So you guys get along real well. But for the rest of us who don't understand all that, it's nice to hear you speak about it too, because it helps us understand it a little bit more. And what we're always trying to do is guide our patients appropriately so that they can follow everything from terpenes and cannabinoids to make sure that they find products that go well with their own chemical makeups. So that's exciting. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
Let's see, what else can we talk about today? Oh, some of your favorite products, on the Agri-Kind menu. What are some of the ones that you feel are like the go-tos?
Well, I personally am a more of a sativa user, and even the sativa indica terminology, whether you believe in it or not, has been a classification for many years, where historically the indica strains are more sedative. Indica couch was always sort
Right.
of the slang for it. But I'm more of a sativa user. I tend to be a workaholic, and I like strains that make me focus, that kind of relieve the anxiety, and for some, sativa increases it. But
Right.
for me personally, I really like those strains. So I'm a big Dream Queen fan in terms of strains. Lemon Dog Cookies, I think, is probably one of our best medicinal strains, along with Ice Cream Dream. And the reason is the vast variety of compounds that are found in it. So Lemon Dog has a very high percentage of CBG, in addition to a strong THC level, 18, 19%, which, isn't 30, but we're strong believers in entourage effect.
Yes.
Meaning
As
it's the collective effect of cannabinoids, terpenes, sugars, waxes, everything all together that result in that effect. And Chris, as well as I, you can go to a dispensary, you can buy 10 different strains that all have the exact same THC CBD percent, and all 10 are going to do something totally different.
Well, yes, no doubt. We talk about that a lot at our stores all the time, because we have to fight that with people. They come in, they're looking, shopping strictly from THC percentage. And it's like, we use this example all the time. Do you go in the liquor store and ask for the highest concentration of alcohol that you can possibly get? You might as well just order grain alcohol when you walk in, right? So,
exactly.
And that's the same kind of mentality we have to take here, because we are strong believers in the entourage effect. I can show people many a flower that's in the teens on the THC against one that's maybe mid-20s, and I strongly believe that this is a better flower. And because of the full terpene and cannabinoid profiles. So again, there's a lot of experimentation there, which is what we recommend to people is, you start slow and you find things that work for you, and then you go along and find other strains that match up similarly, and kind of find your sweet spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So to that point, we're all about cannabinoid profile, and I personally find Lemon Dog Cookies and Dream Queen to be, Lemon Dog's got enough THC, it's got CBG, it's got a very small, if any, CBN, which can make you tired, but it's got a great terp profile, which also tends to relieve pain, and then using it in all of its forms. So we find Lemon Dog RSO is for me one of our best products that we have.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned how many strains in your library there?
Currently, I think 307. We had about 330. Yeah, 330 when we started, and we've done some phenotyping. We've actually gotten rid of a few strains because they don't grow well, or they hermaphrodite, or what have you. But
right.
Yeah, we've got about 60 to 80 that we grow. And when I say that, we actually have active mother plants for those 60 to 80. 60 of them are large enough that we can cut a batch, which is basically about 128 plants. And then, we grow, I want to say, 25 commercial strains every 2 months. And then we alternate 10 or 15 of those. So we'll have our steady ones like Lemon Dog and Dream Queen that we grow every month. So we make sure we have harvests available for patients on a regular basis. And then based on patient feedback and a combination of how well they grow and how reliable they are, we'll add or subtract one or two of the commercials on a bi-monthly basis.
Well, this is going to make my last question for you very difficult for you, I'm sure, because you have 307 different options to pick from. But what I want to ask you is, if you were one of your strains, which one would you be? And tell us why.
Well, it's interesting. I could answer that in a humorous way or in a medicinal way. So why don't I try both?
Yeah, why not?
I think sort of the funniest strain we have is called Alaskan Thunder F.
Okay.
Imagine what the 4-letter F word is there.
Yeah.
And it's a true strain, but in all honesty, we haven't harvested it yet. It's one of our mother plants that's growing, and it's going to go into a cycle next month. So I can't comment on the effect. I would say Lemon Dog Cookies would be my strain of choice to be that strain for a few reasons. One, it's tall and lanky, which I'm not. It's very well built on the top. So if you look at the colas, they're huge, which might give somebody the idea of a good physique, but mainly because it makes you feel good. Mm-hmm. And it seems to have that effect across the widest variety of patients. We'll get some feedback from certain strains where, hey, I love this. And that the next day a customer or a patient will call and say, hey, this is horrible. And the triple soma diesel was one of those. I happen to think it's the best diesel I've ever tasted, across the world. And yet we've had some patients contact us and say it's too gassy. And my perspective is, well, it's supposed to be.
Right. It's diesel.
But it's one, Lemon Dog's one where it just tastes really good. People generally like that citrus taste, and the effects are generally fairly consistent. So I really enjoy that one.
Well, I think you find people who really like the earthy tones and that, and then you have the others who are looking for a little tutti frutti. So you get a little bit of both out there. And
that's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, again, John, thank you for taking some time with us today. We really appreciate you. I know you're very busy and telling us all about Agri-Kind and what's going on. And we're live at the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University, and we'll be back with some more grower processors. Thank you.
Great. Thank you again for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Healing Hearts podcast, recorded at the Center for Media Innovation at Point Park University. For more info, visit thehealingcenterusa.com. Happy healing!